Let's give it up for our next keynote speaker.
Awesome. So very good morning, folks. So there's been a slight change in schedule. I've been moved up and I was more than happy to volunteer to go so early in the morning. So I hope you're all energized and ready to listen to what I have to say today. So today I'm talking about paying down UX debt and how you can future-proof your user experience. And all this, whatever I'm going to be talking about, is through my experience of running Happening Design. And this particular topic, UX debt, I think it impacts a lot of people, but how often do we tackle it head on? So let's get into it. So I'm Rohan, and I head a design studio called Happening. So I primarily work with business leaders and tech leaders to help them achieve their UX goals. So today, there are some insights that I've gathered along the way that I would like to pretty much share with all of you. So Happening, quickly, it is a global design studio where we create some really exciting work, and we are proud to be back as a sponsor for the 4th time in a row, I think, and very happy to see UX India at this large scale, and more than excited to be here in front of all of you talking about my experience. So some of the impact that we've created on our customers is through some of the things that I'm going to talk about here. So really a lot of clients that we have served, and pretty much a lot of industries that we have worked on. Some of the clients, some of the biggest clients in the world that we work with, where we put in some of these strategies that I'm going to be talking about. So let's get into it. Enough about Happening and enough about me. So what I want to talk about is paying down UX debt. So it is something that not only affects our products, but also shapes the future of our design leadership. At Happening, we've collaborated with a lot of organizations, and one of the recurring themes we've observed is accumulation of UX debt. And as design leaders, I think it's imperative for us to tackle this head on and ensure that we are debt-free. So you all know what debt is, right, in general terms. You must have heard of it pretty much all throughout your life. So if I have to put it in the terms, the financial terms, it's an obligation that requires one party to pay money or other agreed upon value to another party. So I'm no finfluencer and I'm no financial expert, but I'm just trying to draw a parallel between what UX debt is to the life that we lead, right? So understanding UX debt a little bit, right, and how it gets accumulated. So basically, UX debt is a consequence of shortcuts taken in user experience design. And I'm sure everybody loves a good shortcut, right? But I think these shortcuts that we take often lead to debt. And when we postpone some essential decisions, right, when we say things like, let's talk about it in the next sprint, or let's look at it later, or there's no budget for this quarter, probably we'll pick this up next quarter. So all these are some things that potentially lead to debt. And of course, UX debt, as the term explains, right, it is to do with poor user experiences resulting in the decisions that you take. So why should design leaders care about UX debt? I think the more accumulation of UX debt that we have, and the more postponement of things that we do, and the more we take our eye off the ball when we look at user experience and we talk about budgets and timelines and whatnot, I think user experience gets affected. Everything is important. I think it's important to find the right balance, and generally I've seen this a lot with agile teams where they are pushed to deliver something every 2 weeks or every week, right? So in this process, it's very easy to get lost and start accumulating debt. So why design leaders should care about UX is, obviously, in general, right? It impacts user satisfaction. You lose your reputation. You have a lot of glitches. You have a lot of bugs. You have a lot of unexpected behavior. you have poor operational efficiency. Imagine building everything and then having to fix it because you took some bad decisions or you postponed a lot of things that you are not supposed to because of various reasons. And lastly, imagine the toll it has on your design team, right? These are a bunch of creative folks who need the freedom, who need the power to think freely, and the minute you start restricting them in these little boxes, I think the morale comes down, and these are some reasons why I think we should really care about UX debt. So, of course, with this, there are a lot of direct impact and direct implications on the business, but some hidden costs that I would like to probably talk about is, number one, the business impact. I think the first step is to stop neglecting or pushing it later without a solid plan, right? So first thing is, when you neglect UX debt, I think it can lead to a lot of poor metrics, right? Your product does not perform well, your users don't like it, and your competition probably is doing something better than you, and all of this leads to creating a huge impact on your business. And then, of course, you have financial implications. Like I said, when we talk about debt, you keep investing in trying to get out of it, and sometimes you're just not able to, and you end up with a poor plan or a poor product at the end of the day. And also, like I said, it's very complex to keep going back and forth, fixing things, doing things better, whatever, right? So there is a lot of financial implication here. So how do you know if you're in debt, right? Any of you here, I see a lot of people working in product companies. Any of you know that you are in a deficit or you are in a debt? Can I have a show of hands? Or you are clueless whether you are in a debt and this is the first time you're hearing about it? Okay, lot of hands. So this is a slow surprise. It does not hit you in the face every day when you open your laptop or when you get onto a whiteboard and try to start sketching or try to start brainstorming, right? So it often comes as a slow surprise. And here are some signs, right, that you can tell whether or not you're in debt. So firstly, you're looking at a lot of inconsistency, and this is not just visually, but you're looking at broken flows. You have probably one module that has gone live that looks completely new and fresh and has a new experience and a new pattern, and the rest of the product really is still living back 5 years ago where when it was launched, right? Second thing is, now that maybe some of you are made aware of this, it is on you to do an audit of where you stand with your product or with whatever project that you're working on, and what exactly are your findings, right? When you do an audit and when you do some testing and you figure out basically how deep in trouble you are or how deep in debt you are. And third thing I think that we should talk about is prioritizing debt. So if you've heard these days, a lot of people said debt is good. I mean, speaking here in terms of financials, but maybe not all debt is bad debt. Maybe there is some good debt. So similarly, with user experience here, you don't have to fix everything in one day or in one sprint or in 1 month or in 1 year, right? So it's important to prioritize what your users want and then what exactly you need to deliver. So that is one way that you focus on the important things and start slowly clearing things out. So some strategies to pay down UX debt, right? So first thing is, of course, identifying that you're in debt, and of course, doing some audits and knowing where you stand in reality. But I think starting to integrate this into your planning or into your roadmap, or making sure your entire team is aware of where you stand in terms of being in debt, in terms of not having the best user experience out there, I think it starts there. And of course, don't just make a plan, make sure it's actionable, have some budget allocated, have some resources allocated, and have a plan on how it's going to get executed. Second thing, the boring old thing, right? Design systems. I think you will be hearing this a million times today and tomorrow from a lot of speakers. I won't talk a lot about it. I think everybody is familiar about what design system is, but this is a great way to not get into debt and not have scalability, consistency issues, and be able to churn something out really quick. So it's just a great tool to avoid debt, I would say. Third is promoting cross-functional collaboration. So work closely with development team, product teams, and whoever else that are actually sponsoring the project, because you may agree on a lot of things, you may disagree on a lot of things, but ultimately somebody else is building this, somebody else is shipping it out, somebody else is pushing the button to go live. So it's important to know where they stand with you and how they can help you through this journey. And of course, the last thing is make it iterative. When you are talking about improvements, make sure you know what type of improvements they are, and don't just plan everything for the long haul. Look at something that you can do quickly and probably get something out that really improves your user experience. So how do you prevent having debt in the future, right? Now you do your audits, you know where you stand, you've spoken to your stakeholders, you've gotten your budget approvals, you have a plan of action, you know everybody is with you, so on and so forth. So how do you, like I said, right, debt is always a slow surprise. So it's not just that once you're out of debt, you're in the green. It takes time to have your team get adjusted to this new sort of a way of doing things and understanding where you stand. So first thing is, I think it's important to focus on quality. It's not just about delivering something. It's not just about something that looks good. It's about sort of bringing that quality culture into your entire organization and to your team. I think when you show something to your peers, they should be able to give you honest feedback and say, this is not something that we as a company are proud to ship, right? So I think that's where it starts, and that's where you need everybody on your team, and it takes a while for this to happen. It takes a while to set that new standard of quality in your own company or in your own team, but it will happen slowly. The second thing, this happens a lot where we start designing, we do the interviews. A lot of people don't have the flexibility to do the interviews in the first place, but those who do the interviews and those who do the research, I think they just stop after a point and just get into creating screens and get into deliver whatever we need to deliver. So I think it's important to keep the users in the loop and make that a continuous activity, not just a one-time thing. The third is education and training. So I think from a tool point of view or from a trends point of view, I think it's important to stay updated, but I wouldn't say follow something that is not good for you or follow something that you just have to follow because everybody is using it, but it's important to stay up to date. So while you are busy and while you're doing 1,000 things and juggling 1,000 ideas and 10 projects, it's important to keep yourself updated and know where you're headed. And lastly, as a design leader, I think it's important for the design leader to set some standards, empower the team, and be very open to communication and realize where you stand in reality. So if you are a design leader, what is something that you can do, right? And this is probably a couple of ways that I have tackled debt in some of my projects that we do at Happening. So firstly, like I said, you realize that you are in debt and you start by integrating these debt reductions into your roadmap. So what I call is basically a repayment plan where you start paying back your debt sprint by sprint or day by day. And of course, it's not just doing this, you will also have to ensure that you're following your roadmap and you're doing things in the right way, but it's important to start a payment plan of sorts where you are starting to pay back this debt that you have built up. The second thing is assess what your debt looks like. So when I say assess what your debt looks like, I think what I'm trying to say is what is the amount of things that you really need to solve? What are the amount of things that are just crazy ideas that we probably don't need to implement right now or are not worth implementing? So it's important to audit your existing debt and see where you stand. Third is, of course, users are the center of everything that we do. So it's important to have them with you and consider some long-term impacts of whatever you're doing and keep talking to your users. Lastly, of course, educate your stakeholders. Nobody's going to just give you, when you say that, oh, we are in so much debt, we need to get out of this, start a repayment plan, our user experience sucks. All of this probably will not get you your budget approvals, will not convince your stakeholders. So it's important to educate them that these small decisions that you're taking, or these small things that you're postponing or ignoring or pushing it to the next sprint or next quarter, it's important to have them documented, and it's important to have them executed as well. So what is the impact of all of this, right? What is the impact of neglecting debt? So rework done to pure UX, developers spend close to 50% of their time reworking projects due to bad UX. So there are a lot of times where UX teams are brought into the picture very late, and you already realize that things are in a bad state. So just doing this rework, this happens a lot with enterprises because there is a huge amount of legacy that's there, and there are a lot of implications, compliance, and so on and so forth, depending on what industry you're dealing with. But I think a lot of rework happens, and that's a huge waste of time. Then technical debt consumption, right? So we have a financial debt, so we have a UX debt, and also the development folks or the product owners have something called a technical debt. So it's been inspired, right, from all these terms. So what it is essentially the same thing with UX, where you're taking some bad decisions just to ship out something, and you don't have that quality, or you don't have the right structure in your product that is engineered to perfection. Third thing is early versus late fixes. So I think everybody knows this, right? Being early to the game and fixing things much earlier in the process is a lot easier than going live and then chasing how we need to fix this and keeping the team up every night and every weekend and getting it done. So that's not a good way. Then lastly, all of this becomes a significant barrier to innovation. People are just focused on tools. They are focused on just getting the work done, and they're not focused on the big picture. They're not focused on achieving the vision. They're not focused on thinking out of the box. They're not focused on beating the competition and so on, right? So all these things will happen when you're in a rut, and all of these things that you do is probably one of the reasons why you should have a team that always thinks forward, thinks in the future, and have a great way of doing things. So I've spoken a lot so far, and I've preached a lot, and I think all of this I cannot just say without actually talking about one of the projects that we recently did. And this is something that, like I said, came as a slow surprise to our entire team. And this is a healthcare rehab care solution that we were creating for skilled nursing facilities in the US. A very comprehensive, a very forward-looking, future-looking product that we have built with a lot of AI capabilities. And the problem that we faced here is, firstly, we started building up a lot of debt because we were under a tight timeline to launch because of a lot of business reasons. And we prioritized core functionality, deferring certain UX enhancements because we just couldn't take all of it at once, and there were a lot of constraints. We skipped comprehensive user testing as we went deep into the project. We just looked at getting the screens ready, getting the user flows done, getting the experience, maintaining some consistency. Of course, we had a design system, so it made things a little bit easier for us. But some reasons, right, whatever, we were in a lot of debt. And we realized that the product that we put out there looked great, it performed well, it did some of the basic things that it had to do in terms of beating the competition, but it was not up to the standard that I want my designers or my company at Happening to hold itself to. So we took the initiative to relook at where we stood. We did our audits, we did our testing, we took time out on our own and pursued it as a smaller project, and we took our findings to the leadership at the client. And they realized what we were talking about, and they realized that, yes, there is a scope for our UX to be not just good, but really, really great. And they wanted that great user experience to be a standout feature for them in their journey of building this product. So a lot of reasons we were in debt, and then we figured it out. And then how we resolved this, right, is we conducted a user UX audit, which I just spoke about. We prioritized a lot of issues. We really spent a lot of time, effort, and dollars on enhancing our user testings, and then we took a very iterative approach where we rapidly put out a lot of prototypes and rapidly got a lot of things out and created something that was really cool. So of course I can't show all the details, so a lot of the details are blurred out here, but it's come out to be a great product, and this is just an example of how we got out of this whole UX debt that we were in. And some of the things that I mentioned in my presentation today basically covered all the things that we did. And as design leaders, I think it's important that you set that tone and you set that direction for your team and with your clients and with your stakeholders to ensure that your experience is not getting impacted because of a lot of other external factors. Whatever the factors may be, you as UX designers need to have that vision and need to have the strength to be able to fight, to be able to get what is right, that is good for your users and not just good for your business or your budget or whatever else. So my conclusion here is paying down UX debt isn't just about fixing problems, it's about investing in a better future for our users and our operations, for our organization. So ensure that you are pushing your team to go to the next level, ensure that you're setting up a culture where you are encouraging your team members to think differently, go out of the box, and not just focus on delivering something. And I would like to also encourage you to assess your own products for UX debt, start conversations within your teams and make a plan to address it. Hopefully you will know where you stand and you take a right action to move forward. That's it. See you soon, and thank you so much for being so patient and listening to me. Me and my team are around. Feel free to meet us or talk to us anytime. Have a good day and have a good conference. Thank you so much.